Hey everyone, I'm Liam, and welcome to Cine Review Hub. In today's episode, as we do every week, we're going to dive into the latest movie news. We'll check out which new films are topping the box office and which ones are about to hit the screens. Let's start with superhero films, because after several years, they've finally taken over the entire box office again. Right now, Marvel and DC are locked in a competition, with Marvel promoting Fantastic Four and DC promoting Superman. It's safe to say all eyes are on these superhero movies. A major event happened at the Fantastic Four red carpet premiere, where Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige was in attendance. This red carpet drew a huge crowd, and photos of both Pedro Pascal and especially Vanessa Kirby, who was pregnant, got a lot of media attention. Kevin Feige announced that they have a 7-year plan for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, with storylines already mapped out until the year 2032. This means that after Avengers: Secret Wars is released in 2027, the main storylines of the MCU will conclude. Then, in 2032, the MCU will be rebooted, and new versions of Iron Man and Captain America will be introduced with fresh stories, not just remakes of the old ones. When he mentioned closing out storylines, he was talking about phases 4 to 6 of the MCU, which introduced the concept of the multiverse. Apparently, after 2032, the multiverse will no longer exist, and there will only be one single universe. Kevin Feige also addressed the controversies surrounding Jonathan Majors. He stated that they never intended for Majors to be the main villain of this universe from the start. They always wanted Doctor Doom to be the primary villain until 2027, and after that, Mephisto, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, until 2032. He also revealed that Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic will be the new leader of the Avengers in the next 2 films. The funny part is, they originally wanted Sam Wilson, the new Captain America, for the role, but after the very weak box office performance of Captain America: Brave New World, they changed their minds and gave the role to Pedro Pascal instead. He also talked about the failure of Marvel's TV shows, saying they will produce fewer series from now on and the storylines will be separate from the movies. This means you won't have to watch the shows to understand what's happening in the films. Regarding the X-Men, he said the cast will be entirely young actors, as they'll have a major role in the MCU after 2027. Kevin Feige wrapped up by mentioning his contract is up in 2 years. He said he might be let go after that, which could change all the plans, but if his contract is renewed, these plans will definitely happen. Now on to Superman, which continues its incredible box office run. It's already grossed $426 million. Despite its huge budget, the film is performing so well that it will likely become commercially profitable next week. Warner Bros. Is so happy with the film's success that they've announced the high-quality digital release for August 26th. In a new interview, James Gunn said he wants to find a new role for Henry Cavill in the DC universe. Gunn explained that when he was signing his contract to take over DC, Warner Bros. Announced without his knowledge that Henry Cavill would remain Superman. He said this was before he had even presented his plans to them, so he had to suddenly recast the role, and he felt a lot of guilt about it. He feels bad for Henry Cavill and is determined to give him another role in the DC universe no matter what. Among other films currently in theaters, F1 also continued its strong box office performance last week, and its high-quality digital release has officially been set for August 15th.
Eddington, the latest film from Ari Aster, the same director of Hereditary and Midsommar, which stars great actors like Emma Stone, turned into a disastrous box office bomb. It received a C+ from CinemaScore, which is a very low grade, and it will likely be pulled from theaters very soon. Despite this, Ari Aster has said he plans to make a sequel and is also working on a new horror sci-fi film. The last big selling film is a really interesting one, Odyssey. Its total sales reached $1.5 million last week, which is amazing, considering the film is scheduled for release a year from now. For our next news, we're talking about Paramount, and we've got two big stories from them. The first is about the biggest deal in television history. Many of you probably know the animated series South Park. Its 27th season is set to premiere this month, which means the show has been on the air for 27 years, since 1997. The series is known for its blunt social and political commentary on the United States. If you're curious about the show, the first episode of the 27th season has gone viral because it shows Donald Trump sleeping with Satan. The show's two creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, are also the animators and voice almost all of the characters. The show is technically simple to produce, with each episode taking just 6 days to make. The cool part is that their deal with Paramount was for $1.5 billion. This is a 5-year contract where they've committed to delivering 10 episodes each year. The craziest part is that Trey and Matt pocketed the entire $1.5 billion themselves. They didn't have to share it with anyone. You might be wondering how these two guys could make so much money. Well, the story gets even better. You know how people say the Simpsons writers are so clued in that their predictions for the future often come true? Check out what Trey and Matt predicted. Back in 1997, when they first signed their contract with Paramount, they sold the television broadcast rights for a small amount, but they held on to the rights to stream the show on the internet. Paramount at the time had no idea what streaming was, so they gave them the rights. The result? In 2021, the duo sold the streaming rights to their show to HBO Max. Paramount quickly canceled that deal and paid them $900 million in 2021 to bring the show to Paramount+. Now, 4 years later, they've had to pay another $1.5 billion. Each of the creators now has a net worth of $700 million, and with this new money, they've both become billionaires. What's even wilder is that Paramount has made $11 billion from the show in the last 5 years alone. This very show once caused a huge falling out between Tom Cruise and Paramount and was a key factor in the commercial failure of Mission Impossible 3. But Paramount had another big story last week, the firing of Stephen Colbert from his late-night show on CBS. Many of you know Stephen Colbert as the guy who's interviewed countless movie stars. He had worked for the network for 33 years and had been hosting the same show since 2014, for 11 years straight. But last week, the show was abruptly canceled and he was fired. What happened? If you remember the news from 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that Paramount paid Donald Trump $16 million in a settlement. Why? Because Trump claimed a documentary they aired was deceptively edited to mislead viewers. Paramount, trying to appease Trump, paid him the $16 million outside of a courtroom. Stephen Colbert then went on his show and said that the money wasn't a settlement, it was a bribe.
He claimed Paramount is in the process of merging with the company Skydance, and because this is a massive commercial deal, it requires a lot of government permits. He said they paid Trump $16 million to smooth the process, because companies often have trouble merging due to anti-monopoly laws, and Paramount was trying to get the permits. So how did Trump get him fired? The funny part is, Trump didn't do it. If Trump had that power, he would have fired Jimmy Kimmel long ago. The truly ridiculous part is that the CBS network that aired the show is owned by Paramount. Stephen Colbert basically went on air and told his audience that his bosses bribed a former president to bypass the law. Naturally, the head of CBS fired him. Trump reacted to the news and seemed happy about it, saying Colbert's talent was less than his viewership. He even teased that Jimmy Kimmel would be next. Stephen Colbert responded to Trump's tweet, calling him completely talentless. CBS has yet to announce whether they will continue to work with Stephen Colbert in some other capacity or if his show is over for good. Let's move on to Netflix. Last week, Netflix gave the green light to a few projects. First, they renewed the series Wednesday for a 3rd season. Interestingly, Netflix is already looking to create a spin-off series from Wednesday. They also finally announced the crew for the Assassin's Creed series. This is big news, as Netflix had been talking about making the series for 3 years without announcing any of the creative team. They've now hired the writers of Westworld and Halo to write the show. They still haven't announced a director or which game the series will be based on. Netflix also gave us more details about Stranger Things. The 5th season will have 19 hours of content, with each episode lasting between 2 and 2.5 hours. The final episode will be 3 hours long. The 5th season will be released in 3 parts, with the first on November 27th, the second on December 25th, and the third on December 31st. Now for some upcoming films. The first is James Cameron's new film, Hiroshima Ghosts. In a recent interview, James Cameron said his new film will be extremely explicit, violent, and ruthless. He plans to show the horrors of the atomic bombs in the most brutal way possible. The film is based on the true story of a man who survived the atomic blast in Hiroshima. He then took the last train to Nagasaki, where he also survived another atomic bomb. This means the movie will show the atomic disasters of both cities. A while ago, Cameron criticized Christopher Nolan, saying that Oppenheimer shied away from showing violent images. Filming is set to begin soon. For now, James Cameron has put all his other projects on hold to direct a 3-dimensional concert film for Billie Eilish. He's using the same special cameras he developed for the Avatar films. Billie Eilish is scheduled to have a 4-day concert in Manchester, and James Cameron will film all 4 days. The film will be released on streaming platforms and in theaters. With a 3-dimensional quality, audience members will feel like they are actually at the concert when they wear the special glasses. This is a similar concept to what they did with Taylor Swift's concert film, which, you might remember, was one of the top 5 highest-grossing films of its week. This side project might lead to another director taking over for Avatar 4 and 5. Another interesting upcoming movie is a fantasy horror film called The Dreadful. What's interesting is that it stars Sophie Turner and Kit Harington. Last week, a few photos from the film were released, showing them playing a couple. Fans of Game of Thrones reacted strongly, saying, "Why are you two doing this?"
Your brother and sister! Sophie Turner responded on social media, writing, "I know Kit Harington played my brother in Game of Thrones, but I'm really sorry, friends. This role and this scene were very strange for us, too." The film is set in the year 1455 and tells the story of a wounded soldier who takes refuge with a woman in a remote village. It's set for release in 2026. The creator of Breaking Bad has a new series coming out for Apple TV. A teaser for the show is set to be released next week. The genre is sci-fi, and Apple TV says it has some very heavy special effects. It's planned to start airing later this year. Apple TV also gave an update on another one of their series, Ted Lasso, by releasing a short video confirming that filming for the 4th season has officially started. It's scheduled to premiere in 2026. The remake market is booming right now. It was officially announced that Judge Dredd is getting a new remake directed by Taika Waititi, who you may know from directing Thor Ragnarok. The film is based on a comic book. If you're a little older, you might remember the 1995 film starring Sylvester Stallone. Another remake is Basic Instinct, which is being remade after 33 years. Amazon is set to produce the film. The interesting part is that the original writer is returning to write the new script. They've also said it will be an anti-woke film, with scenes that they claim will anger the LGBTQ community. There's also a remake of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. The original film from 1958 has a poster that is an icon of cinematic history. While the film itself isn't great in terms of story or cinematic techniques, it was groundbreaking for its time and has been referenced in many movies, like Enemy, where the poster appears throughout the film. The new version will be directed by Tim Burton and star Margot Robbie.
The story is about a woman whose husband cheats on her. She's filled with rage, and after being hit by an alien spaceship's ray, she grows to 50 feet tall. Our last news on new films is from the world of animation. After the failure of its film Elio, Pixar has unveiled Hoppers. It's another original story about a girl whose brain is transferred into a beaver robot so she can enter the animal kingdom. It's set to be released on March 6th. DreamWorks has also renewed Puss in Boots for a third installment. Though it hasn't been officially announced, it's believed they are waiting for Shrek 5 to be a box office success before starting production on Puss in Boots 3. The series Invincible from Amazon has been renewed for a fifth season. The voice actors for Season 4 already finished their work for Season 5 at the same time, so the fifth season is now in the animation stage. It's scheduled to premiere in March of this year. Now for some celebrity news. Last week, Pedro Pascal's stylist quit. The stylist spoke out about getting death threats on social media for designing short and feminine-looking clothes for Pedro Pascal. You might remember the incident 2 years ago at the Met Gala, where Pedro Pascal showed up in a skirt and pink hairpins. The stylist said Pedro Pascal is a grown man who gives his own input, and he's not a dictator forcing him to wear anything. But in the end, he felt it was best to just leave. So we'll have to see if Pedro Pascal's fashion sense changes. Pedro Pascal also had something to say about his own appearance. He was asked last week why he never shaves his beard and has a beard in all his films. People said it's natural to change your look for different roles. Pascal responded by saying he used to think that way too, until he saw himself without a beard and mustache in the film Wonder Woman 1984.
He was so shocked that he swore to himself he would never shave his face again, so he would never have to look like that again. More celebrity news involves Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp has a new collaboration in Hollywood with Ridley Scott, the director of Gladiator. The two have created a graphic novel called Hyde, which reimagines the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and uses Johnny Depp's face for the main character. Amber Heard also has a small new project in Hollywood. A few weeks ago, we mentioned she was going to be in a play, but now that she's back in the US, Vogue magazine has also collaborated with her, featuring some of her photos in their latest issue. This is the first time in almost 3 years that either of these actors has had any activity in the United States, which means they are both slowly making their way back to Hollywood. Other celebrity news involves a few viral photos. The first is of Ana de Armas and Tom Cruise, who were seen vacationing together in Spain and going boating. This comes after they had repeatedly denied a relationship and claimed their connection was only professional. Now, the last film they were supposed to make together has been completely canceled, but their trips together are still happening. Another viral photo was of Selena Gomez celebrating her 33rd birthday with a pickle cake. The pickles aren't the important part, though. It's her significant weight loss. The actress had struggled for years to lose weight due to her illness and the medication she was taking. But it's now speculated that she's been using Ozempic, which has helped her lose a lot of weight in just a few months. Another viral photo was a new picture of Sydney Sweeney, who is set to star in a biopic about the boxer Christy Martin. For the role, Sydney Sweeney gained 14 kilograms of targeted muscle and fat and trained for 6 months. The film is scheduled to be released next year. Another viral photo was from Alexandra Daddario, who shared the first picture of her newborn baby. One last short celebrity news story. Shia LaBeouf was able to reach a settlement with his ex-wife out of court last week. His ex-wife had sued him for domestic violence and wanted to take the case to court. Shia LaBeouf has a long history of legal problems, which has made it difficult for him to get roles in Hollywood. But last week, he settled with his ex-wife by paying her $10 million, and she dropped the lawsuit, closing his case. Shia LaBeouf has struggled with a history of alcohol and drug addiction for years and is now trying to get sober in hopes of returning to Hollywood. More celebrity news related to the Israel-Palestine conflict came last week, as a number of celebrities expressed their support for Palestine. Javier Bardem shared a video of a man holding his deceased child, expressing his support for
Palestine and urging people not to stay silent. Hans Zimmer, Lana Del Rey, and Billie Eilish were other famous figures who condemned the conflict and showed support for Gaza. Hans Zimmer brought attention to the food crisis. Billie Eilish reacted to the plan to resettle Palestinians in another country. And Lana Del Rey said she prays for the Palestinians every day. The last celebrity news story is about Bruce Willis. According to the latest update from his family, he has now forgotten that he was an actor and can no longer remember any of his roles. His dementia has progressed so much that he doesn't even have a clear sense of his own identity anymore. Dementia can advance to a point where it can eventually be fatal for the person suffering from it. Okay, now for the most ridiculous story of the week. It's about a 30-year-old fan of Jenna Ortega. This guy got a tattoo of Jenna Ortega's face in 4 different poses on his leg. You might laugh and think this guy has to be crazy. But the truly insane part is that he started a TikTok account where he posts videos of the tattoo, and they've gone completely viral. He has a huge following, and his entire TikTok feed is dedicated to praising Jenna Ortega's beauty. Through this, he's gained a ton of followers and will probably end up making a lot of money. Alright friends, that's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you all next week.